All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another baseball video. We did have a couple days off here due to traveling back from the West Coast, but we are back now. It is June 12th. We got ourselves a Wednesday and a full MLB slate to dive into in today's video. Like we always do, we're going to go through each and every one of these games. I'll give you my lean on the side. I'll give you my lean on the total. We'll talk about any other plays like player props that we like within the game as well. But as always, guys, keep an eye on the pinned comment for all of my final plays. Last time we talked to you guys, we had a nice little sweep. We won't bring up the money gun because it was, what was that, Sunday would have been these plays, so we are already at Wednesday or is that Monday? Regardless, we're not going to pull out the money gun because it's not as recent as we would like, but we had the Guardians, Cubs money line, those both cashed, and then the Blue Jays and the A's nerfy. One more cha-ching, though. We'll celebrate it right there. Also, get those hashtag ride of the days in the comments. Now that we're back in the comfort of our own home, we can get back to riding with some ride of the day. So use the hashtag ride of the day in the comments. Give me an absolute banger of a play for a chance to be shouted out in the next video. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button and hit that like button as well, guys. Let's jump right into this slate. Starting off with Minnesota taking on Colorado here. Minnesota massive favorites in this one. That makes sense. Pablo Lopez is on the mound. Colorado's lost 7 of their last 3. Minnesota also not really playing the best of baseball, but like I said, they have their stud on the mound here. And Pablo Lopez on the season, his ERA kind of getting skewed, I would say, by a couple recent starts. Like, honestly, not looking all that great. But he's still Pablo Lopez, right? Like, we could still trust that he's going to pitch well. And this is a Colorado team that doesn't hit fastballs very well. Pablo Lopez loves to throw the fastball. So, though Minnesota's been struggling, though Pablo Lopez has been struggling, it's not enough for me to get to the Colorado side of things, especially given the fact that Colorado wins the game yesterday, right? So, I am on Minnesota here, but it would have to be in some sort of parlay or parlay throw-in. Minus 238, way too big of odds there to roll with Minnesota. Just alone. Maybe we can consider them in the first 5 run line, but then all of a sudden when you're looking at run lines and whatnot, you're like, well, this Minnesota team hasn't been firing, right? Like, little risky to pull the trigger there. Another spot I could consider as a potential spot for the under here. Neither one of these offenses looks all that great, and if I'm putting my trust in Lopez, like, I do think that there's a chance that Minnesota wins this one. Could be like 4-1, or even if they have a good offensive day against Austin Gomber, who's in the bump for Colorado, I'm kind of thinking that Lopez has a nice night. So I'll lean towards the under, but overall, hate to start it off with this game and hate to start it off with this take, but it's not my favorite matchup in the world and on this slate. So just got to be transparent with you guys there. In terms of player props, I do have one that I could consider. I'm looking at Byron Buxton here, under 1.5 bases. The king of the bases may be back. Keep an eye on the pinned comment to see if we roll with those or that play in the comments. The reason I like this one is just due to the fact that Gomber surprisingly actually is pitching really well against right-handed batters. The slugging's down, the extra base hit percentage is down, and he's going to go fastball, changeup, curveball as his 3 main pitches. Byron Buxton's WOBA against all 3 of those pitches drops significantly against the season average. So I do think it's a good matchup for him. That being said, is he breaking out of his little, like, you know, he just hit a home run yesterday. So is he going to all of a sudden come out and start to go off? Not exactly sure. I don't think so, but keep an eye on the pinned comment. This game may just be one that, you know, we don't want to get burned by too much, so we don't roll with. Next up, we have Milwaukee taking on Toronto. I really wanted to get to Toronto in this spot. They win yesterday 3-0. They have Chris Bassett on the mound, and when I say want to, I still did. So I am leaning Toronto, but I thought we were going to get way, way, way better odds here, but clearly the books knew what I knew here too. So Tobias Myers on the mound for Milwaukee. He's been meh this season, definitely meh at home. Chris Bassett's been kind of in the same boat, but he pitches really, really well to righties. This is a Milwaukee lineup today that's stacked with a decent amount of righties. So I did look at that and say, okay, maybe there's a little bit of an edge there, but it doesn't look like that's going to be, you know, necessarily the case overall. So I am leaning Toronto, but I was hoping to get some plus money on them just because of sort of the struggles that Bassett's had in the past. Not necessarily against his Milwaukee team, but you know, he's had some up and down starts, but he's been pitching pretty well as of late. His last 5 games of 1.4 ERA. I know people do like to hate on him, but I thought this could be a good spot to grab Toronto. Toronto. So I don't know if we end up rolling with it as a final play. I was hoping for some plus money, but I'll still lean towards Toronto here. Right now, best odds minus 106 on FanDuel, so near even odds. But like I said, I was kind of hoping to get a little bit of an edge there. When it comes to a total sitting at 8.5, I think I do look at the under, but ever so slightly. This is like a 4-3 game to me, maybe, and like I could even see this one being 4-4, and then we get screwed by them having to go to extras or a late inning run. So probably not something that I ultimately roll with, but I don't necessarily think it's going to be an absolute barn burner of a game. So I'm going to lean towards the under, but again, guys, I know I'm kind of seeming like I'm on the fence here, but hey, a lean is a lean, right? I don't have to fake confidence for content. I'll tell you guys if I really like a play. I'll tell you guys if it's just a way that I'm leaning, and this under is definitely just a slight lean. I love the people that get mad at that. They're like, why you gave me this pick? And it's like, well, right, we're talking sports. Sue me. I like talking about sports. I'm telling you literally where I rank on like the confidence level. It's up to you to decide what you want to do with that, right? You know what I'm saying? But all right, let's move on to the next game. All right, next up, we have San Francisco taking on Houston. So far this series, split. Houston gets the win yesterday, but San Francisco won game number 1. On the mound for San Francisco is Logan Webb, obviously a very good pitcher, and very good pitcher at home this season, going up against Framber Valdez, who is also a good pitcher. Doesn't necessarily have the year marks that I guess you could say Logan Webb does, but on the road this year, Framber Valdez, a 1 flat whip, a 2.6 FIP, a 2.85 xFIP, and then a batting average against of 216, which is obviously really good to see if you are on the Rockies today, like I am. Also, he struggles against left-handed batters. Not many lefties in this lineup for San Francisco, so I think it's a good spot to take the Astros for plus money today. I know Logan Webb's a really good pitcher. I'm not really fading him. I'm more or less backing Valdez and the Astros offense. A player prop that I don't mind in this spot either is actually a plus 164 flyer. Valdez over 5.5 strikeouts. You can see here if we jump into the Outlier screen. By the way, guys, if you want access to this tool, I'll have a link to Outlier in the pinned comment, my favorite sports betting research tool. 7-day free trial with that link. After that, it's just $19.99 per month. So it's an absolute steal of a tool, especially if you're on a budget. But his over 5.5 strikeouts for plus 164. Look at where this is on other books. Plus 123, plus 125, plus 130. So it's a decent spot here. Last time he went up against the Giants, though it was, a year ago, he had 8 strikeouts. On the season, he's had the over in 30% of games, but he's coming off of a game in which he struck out 8 guys. So I do like this spot overall. Do I think that, the Giants are a massive strikeout team? Not necessarily. Last 30 days, just 7th in K rate, but against left-handed pitchers, 18th, and then against left-handed pitchers at home, 24th. So all of a sudden, you're getting more and more granular. Maybe this looks a little bit better. So for plus 164, that may be a play that we end up rolling out as a final play. In terms of the total, sitting at 7.5 here, I think I like the over as well. I think that this could be a spot in which Houston's offense does do a little bit of damage, and that would be nice because we're rolling with them on the money line as well. So again, we have 2 plus money plays out of the 3 I just tossed your way. Keep that in mind, but I just don't know if I necessarily want to pass up Houston at plus money when, I think that they could being the key word, get to Logan Webb a little bit here. He throws a lot of sinkers, 4th and runs above average for Houston. He throws the changeup, that's where it's going to hurt them, but sinker, slider, fastball, any of the other pitches that Logan Webb has in his arsenal, Houston should be able to touch. All right, and real quick, before we do move on to the rest of the games, I will give you a little bit more of a deep dive into Outlier. Right now, I have this set on bases because, king of the bases, but this is the player prop screen. They also have a screen for games as well where you can literally look into trends and everything like that, and if you want to see more and more, you can dive in and look at all of these plays and the trends that they have. But I love Outlier for the player prop screen. We can go through and see the last 5, last 10, last 20 against your opponent this season and last year of their trending plays. For example, Nick Castellanos. Maybe this is something we roll with, right? Let's open that in a new tab. We'll go in and say, okay, last 10 games, the under has hit in his strikeouts in 9 of his last 10, in 4 of his last 5, in 17 of his last 20. On the season, 79%. Like this all of a sudden looks like a good play, right? Then you get down here and you say, okay, well, he's going up against Pivetta, a right-handed pitcher. His K percentage drops to 19.7 from 21.6. Like there's so much info in here. You can even look at it on the pitch basis. So they give you Pivetta's pitch arsenal, right? Fastball, K percentage drops. Slider, K percentage goes up. Cutter, K percentage goes up. And then, curve, and then cutter, K percentage goes down. So 2 of the 4 pitches goes up, 2 goes down. But what you could look at is fastball. 48% of the time, he does not strike out against fastballs. Slider 28, he does. So now you have a little bit of, thinking to do on your hands. But this is really a good tool, guys. They also have an EV screen, which getting EV plays in the market, that costs you a little bit extra. That is included in Pro. But nonetheless, guys, go check out Outlier. That link is in the pinned comment. I swear by this tool. We've worked with them for a long time. And what's great is that they're listening to the people. They literally have a suggestion spot where if you think that there could be something cool, you can literally type it out and be like, can you add this to it? And you know what? Their engineers do their best to get that in there. So go check out Outlier, guys. That link is in the pinned comment. It's also in the description if that's easier for you guys. But yeah, check it out. I highly recommend this. I don't think any person that I've thrown their way has signed up for Outlier and been like, nah, this tool's not for me. This tool is legit, guys. Go check it out. Not blowing smoke up your ass. Link in the pinned comment. All right, next up, we're looking at San Diego taking on Oakland here. I mean, I do think Hogan Harris, his numbers don't look all that terrible. I'll give him that. Going against Michael King, whose numbers don't look all that great, but this is still a San Diego team that should be able to beat this Oakland team. So I know they're really juiced. My initial reaction was, all right, can we expose Michael King in some way here? And I just couldn't get there, almost unfortunately, because, he's been pitching decent his last few starts. So there's some, credit to him. Last couple starts for Hogan Harris, he's been pitching well, though. But San Diego does hit lefties all right. So, like I said, I wanted to get to Oakland. I wanted to see if we could expose it, but this seems like it's a null and void type of a play because I like San Diego after all, and I don't think I'm going to be rolling with a minus 190 priced play. You know what I mean? So give me San Diego, but again, maybe it's some sort of a parlay throw in for you or something like that. To me, it probably just stays off the list altogether. When it comes to a total here in this spot, I think that this could be an under spot, 4 to 3 maximum. If Michael King does go out there and pitch well, I think that this is probably even more of a likely under because this A's team just does not seem to have the offensive juice. Last few games, or four of their last 6 games, I believe, if they scored with 3 runs or less. They've scored 0 runs in like 3 of their last 10 games. So not a powerhouse offense. I'm not breaking any news to anyone out there either. So definitely a spot in which we could consider, an under. But what I'd probably rather more than the under, I would say, is taking a peek at the Nerfy. I think that's a decent spot there as well. So Nerfy could be a way to kind of go around the under, being like, hey, just don't score in the first, like, go under first inning, right? Rest of the game, who cares? So give me San Diego, game total under, and then as well as a potential no runs in the first inning play on this one. All right, Baltimore taking on Atlanta. This one's, I chuckle kind of when I look at this because you obviously have 2 decent teams playing. Baltimore has won a bunch in a row. I think they won 5 straight, maybe 6 straight, but 7 of their last 10. Atlanta, not playing the best of baseball. They've lost 4 straight games and 6 of their last 10, but we still know this is a decent team, right? But you have Spencer Schwellenbach on the mound for Atlanta, who has gotten kind of dinged up his last 2 starts. And then Cade Povich on the mound, who definitely got dinged up in his first start of the season there against Toronto. So it's like, pick your poison here in terms of a pitcher. I do think that, this is probably a spot where I immediately lean towards the over, but is that too square of a play? Like, oh, you have the Orioles, who are a really good offense. You have the Braves, who at any moment can kind of pop as an offense. And then you have, 2 bad pitchers on the mound. The bullpens are good, so maybe this is like a first 5 type of an over that we could look at. Keep an eye on the pinned comment. That's where I'm leaning right now, but I honestly feel like, is that too much of a square play? Does like Povich or does Schwellenbach come in and be like, no, we're actually good, and then just deal, you know what I mean? Because I think we need both teams to try and cash an over of 9 here, so it'll be a lean for now. Keep an eye on the pinned comment to see if we do end up rolling with it. In terms of a play here, I think I'll just lean to the plus money here. I really don't want to put minus odds behind Cade Povich, just based on what we've seen. It's only been 1 start, so I'm not gonna like rag on him or anything like that. I don't feel like that's fair or anything like that. And he's had some decent numbers at different times in the farm system and whatnot. So I'm not trying to rag on it too much, but for plus 120 and beyond, taking Atlanta with a pitcher that, though he's also been bad, I think it could just be a decent value play. So it's kind of a flyer. Don't act like I'm putting, a gun to my head saying if they don't win, like it's all over. No, this is just a little flyer play. I don't really like the odds for Baltimore. So by default, I think I end up liking Atlanta's odds, if that makes sense altogether. Detroit taking on Washington here. Washington winning game number 1, 5-4. Today we have Jake Irvin on the mound, who's been great this year and also even better on the road. Going up against Reese Olson, who's also been good this year, but even better at home. To me, very similar to what we just looked at in a different way of the Baltimore and Atlanta game. I just like the idea that you're getting Washington for plus money here. I think that this is a coin flip game, so remember I said that. But one team you're getting plus 120 on, the other one you're paying minus 125 on, or minus 135 actually. So give me the Nationals here on the money line. Again, I think that this is more of a 50-50 game. So if you have a 50-50 game and you're going to give me odds that are paying, better than that, then I think that could be a good spot here. In terms of the total, two really good pitchers on the mound, so I do think that this is a spot where these pitchers can succeed and do their thing. But what I'll lean slightly towards the under. But what I'll actually like more than that is targeting a few under 1.5 basis spots here, like Matt Vierling here on the Tigers going up against Jake Irvin against righties. Irvin, a righty, 257 batting average compared to 270 on the season. His batting average with balls in play drops. But Jake Irvin against righties this year, a batting average against of 197. So I do like the spot for him. Minus 137 over on Caesars. I like those odds as well. But few under bases that I like. Lane Thomas, don't mind him. Luis Garcia, don't mind him. Abrams, don't mind him. Gio Urshela, don't mind him as well. So there are a decent amount of guys like what was that? Would I just give you 5 names that I could get convinced of their under and bases? But I think Matt Vierling may be my favorite out of them. So, keep an eye on the pinned comment. We may have some King of the Bases plays in the comments there as well. Which, speaking of King of the Bases, we had a bunch of requests in the comments, so we finally made it happen. We do have a King of the Bases tee live right now. Not sure if we're going to roll this out into a collection or anything like that, but it comes in black and white as of right now. Has a nice, baseball background within the text. So, yeah, go ahead and check it out, guys. FadeMe.store. Pick it up in black or white. We only printed, a handful of these because, again, it's kind of just off of, a saying that we've been saying. It's not tried and true yet. So, if you do want to scoop one up, we may produce some more, but right now they're super limited. FadeMe.store, FADEME.STORE. Spelling bee champ. Go check it out, guys. FadeMe.store. Let's move on with the rest of the games here. All right, Tampa Bay taking on Chicago. We got Carne Asada on the mound for the Cubs going up against Aaron Savale, a pitcher that I do really like, but I think that this is a Cubs spot. They haven't been playing the best of baseball. I'm not trying to say that, but neither have the Tampa Bay Rays, and honestly, I think that Chicago may have the better starter in this one, as well as the better bats against right-handed pitcher, both these pitchers being righties, and what I love to see is that Savale throws a ton of cutters, 40% of his pitches. That's literally one of the best pitches that the Cubs go out there and hit. They're 4th in runs above average in the last 30 days against the league. So, yeah, I think this could be a good spot to get some plus money odds behind the Cubs here. When it comes to the total, it's at 7.5. I also think that this is probably a game in which we see maybe a 5-4 type finish or 5-3, that type of thing. So I'm going to lean towards the over here as well. But I definitely like Cubs on the money line for plus money more than I do the over. If you want to be a little bit safer, and I do think it is a safer play, but it's not necessarily the most. Either way, I do still like the Cubs, but I could consider them on the first 5 money line as well. Just get it done after the first 5 because both these bullpens are kind of volatile. So it's I don't want the Cubs to be winning 4-1. It's let's go plus money, and then their bullpen blows it. Both these bullpens, like I said, are pretty bad. And as weird as it is, as much as I'd like to say that the Cubs or the Rays bullpen is that bad, it's okay to run with it. Both these bullpens are taxed, and the Cubs bullpen may even be worse than the Rays on the season, right? So gets a little dicey when we get to that 6, 7, 8, 9. So maybe this is the first 5 play as well. No player props that I'm loving as of right now in this game, though. All right, Boston taking on the Phillies here. Like we just said already, I don't mind Castellanos' under in strikeouts. We kind of proved that out. Yes, we do have Nick Pivetta on the mound, who has a decent K rate on the season at 31.1. But you know what? We kind of proved it out. The pitches that he should be going up against is the fastball being the main pitch, doesn't strike out against. So that's a player prop that we definitely could consider just based on what we looked at with the outlier example, right? But in terms of a money line here, you have Chris Sanchez on the mound, who has really struggled on the road, going up against a Nick Pivetta, who's really pitched well at home. I think this is going to be a spot for another plus money play for me, so call me plus money Ev. Actually, in the comments, drop plus money Ev, because we are throwing out some plus money leans today. I like the Red Sox here on the money line. Do I think that Pivetta's, tried and true better than Chris Sanchez? Not necessarily. Chris Sanchez has had a good year had a couple, down spots, but Pavetta's been pitching really, really well. In fact, when Pavetta's healthy, like if you look at his stats, I forget what it is, but his like streak of being healthy, he's actually looked like a top, was it 10 or something pitcher in almost every category, which is crazy because you don't think of him like that. But nonetheless, you're getting what I would say is the better pitcher. Probably the better bullpen right now. The only thing we have to worry about is there going to be any spots here where Philadelphia just absolutely, lights it up because their offense is still something that scares me. Still, I think it's worth taking the plus money on the Red Sox here. When we take a peek at the total, right now it's sitting at 8.5. I think this is an under. Like, I think the only way that the Red Sox win this one, or the Phillies for that matter, is that one of these pitchers kind of goes out there and pitches a nice gem. And if this is sitting at 8.5, I don't mind taking the under. So give me the Red Sox and the under in this spot. All right, Cincinnati taking on Cleveland. We got Lodolo on the mound for Cincinnati, going up against Tanner Beebe for Cleveland. He's been pretty good on the road. In fact, his road numbers, Beebe I'm talking about, are a little bit better, or Bibee, I don't know, I can't pronounce anything right, are a little bit better than his season numbers. And it's the opposite for Lodolo. His season numbers actually look pretty damn good, but on the road, things jump a little bit. So I think you're getting, probably the better pitcher here in this spot, as well as what I would say definitely the better offense as of right now. So give me Cleveland here on the money line. Decent price for them as well, which, now I'm starting to think, am I getting too comfortable with, like, these plus money plays? Like, for, what is it, literally for maybe 5 picks in a row now, we've gone with underdogs, but I like Cleveland here for plus 100. Maybe it's because I took a day or two off. Now I'm, like, seeing, like, oh, the plus money, like, who knows, but you know what, we're putting each game in the vacuum. I'm not thinking about the fact that we just took a bunch of underdogs. Each game is its own game. Give me Cleveland here on the money line in terms of a lean there. When it comes to a total, I don't really have the biggest of thoughts here, but I do think that, we could see a game just like we saw yesterday, which was 5-3. So that's my floor. Maybe they get a run somewhere late in the game or something like that. So I'll lean towards the over in this spot as well. But like I've talked to you guys about, Cleveland's bullpen is really good. Everyone should know that, at least if you're betting on these games. So definitely something to keep in mind. They're a little bit taxed, so that's a good thing in our case. But that kind of hurts when you're looking at an over or something like that when a team has a good bullpen, because it's like, what if they are off to the races, or Cincinnati does, and then all of a sudden the team that you like to win the game, right? We're leaning Cleveland. All of a sudden they just go and shut down 6, 7, 8, 9 or 7, 8, 9. And it's like, damn, now we got to rely on the team that we didn't like to score runs, if that, you know what I mean? So that is a tough spot, but I still, nonetheless, I think we could see like a floor of 8. So give me 9 today. What the hell? All right, Mets taking on Miami. This is, I guess, where the underdog train ends. And I did actually try to get to Miami because Braxton Garrett's on the mound, who, I mean, though it's a small sample size compared to David Peterson, he's looked a little bit better this season. But again, David Peterson only has, 2 starts under his belt? 1, they were just mediocre starts. I can't even say that they were terrible, right? But nonetheless, I do think that, this is an offensive discrepancy. Mets against lefties in the last 30 days, 3rd in average, 3rd in WRC+, on base 3rd, 5th in OPS, 6th in ISO, 5th in slugging. I think it's going to be a good spot for them to be able to at least get some runs off against Braxton Garrett here. Miami won yesterday too, which I think probably helps these odds some as well. So give me the Mets on the money line. When it comes to the total, sitting at 7.5 right now. If I think the Mets are going to offensively perform today, and I don't really back David Peterson all that much, probably going to lean towards the over here in this spot as well. St. Louis taking on Pittsburgh here. Sonny Gray on the mound for St. Louis. And when I see that, it's like, say no more. I've really been liking him this season. He's had a couple rocky starts against Philly, and then who did he... they lost the game. I forget. A really bad team. A's, Colorado. So, I'm trying to kind of forget about those. Going up against Bailey Faulkner is also coming off a really bad start, but against the Dodgers. So even some of these bad starts, these guys are kind of, explainable based on the team that they've played and the offense they've played. But St. Louis, they should be able to get things back on track here. They lose yesterday. They lost, 2 of 3 against Colorado, right? Like, this should be a get-right spot for them. And to me, Pittsburgh's been playing kind of above what they took 2 of 3 against LA. They took 2 of 3 against Minnesota. Toronto they played before that. I don't remember. I think they only won 1 game. But nonetheless, like, this should be a St. Louis Sonny Gray spot. If you ask me, which, like I say in some of my videos, to some degree you're coming in here asking me, but I'll take them probably on the first 5 because I like to isolate that Sonny Gray matchup against Bailey Faulkner, not necessarily the full game. Pittsburgh's bullpen isn't great. Neither is St. Louis's. I'm not going to rag on them all that much, but if you have two, kind of like we talked about, two volatile bullpens, it's like maybe we just want to isolate starter to starter here. And I think we know we have an edge with Gray against, Faulkner. And Gray coming from the right side, a side that Pittsburgh struggles against. Bailey Faulkner, on the other hand here, he throws from the left side, a side which St. Louis does bat pretty well. So I'll lean towards the Cards in this spot, as well as a potential lean towards the under as well. All right, Kansas City taking on the Yankees. Cody Poteet on the mound for the Yanks, going up against, I think, the primary pitcher. It looks like Dan Altalvia is the opener, but the primary pitcher is slated to be Daniel Lynch, so definitely important to note that. To me, this is a spot where, the Yankees bats should be able to shine through, but Poteet does scare me a little bit. Like, it might look like he had a decent outing against Colorado, and I guess you could say he did. No earned runs, only 2 hits against them, but he only pitched 4 2/3, and he pitched 84 pitches, so that was a sweat for him to get there. Luckily, I don't know if, Kansas City's offense is their offense has been batting really well this season, don't get me wrong, but in theory, the Dodgers are supposed to have a better offense, even though they've been kind of struggling, but you know what I mean? Like, maybe he's a little bit more comfortable pitching against Kansas City. Regardless, this is a spot where I can't really deny that I like the Yankees going up against Lynch for the most part of this game. The Yankees offense should be able to get to him. Total sitting at 10.5, way up there as well. I'm going to trust that. I'm going to lean towards the Yankees as well as the over here in this spot. When it comes to player props, I want to lean a few under in bases on the Kansas City side of things. Perez, Melendez, Garcia, even Pascatino. But, do we trust Poteet? Do we get there? I'm not sure. Keep an eye on the pinned comment for any of those ones, but it could be him kind of keeping us off those plays because I like the way they've been trending. Perez 5 straight, 8 of his last 10, 70% of his last 20 under in 1.5 bases. But do all these guys hit home runs against this pitcher today? I don't know, man. Seattle taking on the White Sox. I think the only way we can play this one here with somewhat consumable and digestible odds would be Seattle on either the run line or Seattle on the first 5 run line. Really trusting Bryce Miller against Jonathan Cannon. Though I do hate picking against a pitcher whose last name is Cannon. It's kind of fire. I think Seattle is obviously the favorite for a reason here. Bryce Miller's been really good at home as well. So give me Seattle at some point or some way on the first 5 run line. When it comes to the total, I like the under as well because I think you have a good sort of perfect storm of Bryce Miller should pitch well. The White Sox against right-handed pitchers last 30 stink. So this could be a spot in which they go out there and score maybe 2 runs. And it's going to be hard to get to the over because Seattle's offense isn't goated. You know what I mean? They did score 8 runs in game number 1 of this series, but I'll take the under in this one just almost due to the fact that I think Chicago is going to pull that weight down in a little bit and in some way, shape, or form. This is also a spot in which I really do like the Nerfy, due to the fact that I think we have, knock on wood, 3 easy outs from Miller. Can go out there and do his thing. That's where we have to cross our fingers and hope. So I like the Nerfy in this spot as well. But I could easily see 1 run coming from Seattle. So do we play that? I think that does have a strong chance of being a final play, to be honest. But overall, it's a little bit kind of dicey to be like, all right, well, we have one team that I do trust, one team going up against a pitcher that isn't all that tremendous. We'll see. I like the Nerfy. Arizona taking on the Angels here. They win yesterday 9-4. They have Slade Ciccone on the mound today, going up against Jose Soriano, who you can actually find some sort of bright spots in Soriano so far this season. I would say 2 of his last 5 starts, maybe 3 of his last starts have looked pretty good. Slade Ciccone is kind of like a bad start, good start, bad start, good start, bad start, good start type of kid right now. But you know what? His last start against San Diego, which was his last start was against San Diego. He went 4 1/3, 7 hits, 1 home run, 3 earned runs, just 3 strikeouts. So if he really does do the whole, bad start, good start, bad start, good start, I consider that a bad start. I think he pitches okay today. Okay. But well enough that Arizona gets to Soriano. So I'm going to lean towards them. Arizona in this spot. They're heavy favorites at -148. I think I saw them at -144 now, so moved into a little bit better of odds, but nonetheless, give me Arizona here on the money line. When it comes to the total, I'm kind of indifferent on this one. I'm going to probably lean towards the under because I just said that, Ciccone should be able to pitch well, but then are we trusting the bullpens here too much? Maybe this is the first 5 under Arizona full game money line, then we can kind of get the best of both worlds there. So that's probably going to where we lean, but obviously, guys, I say this all the time, not just for this game, but keep an eye on the pinned comment for any added plays or updates or everything we talk about in this video. Like I might play 2 of these plays because I let you guys know what I'm actually betting myself. Everything we talk about in the video is like what I would do if I was betting every single game. And people are like, why do you do that if you don't bet it? It's like, well, 1, I'm telling you what I'm betting myself, so there's no arguing that. And 2, I like talking about sports. I could come on here and give 3 picks like we do when we're on the road and traveling, but I like talking about every single game, and I'd rather make a 30-minute video than a 8-minute video. So that just kind of is what it is in terms of the format. Like, that's my preference, and I think a lot of you guys, pardon my French, fuck with me for that as well. So hopefully you guys do understand that. But let's move on to the last game of the slate here. Dodgers taking on Texas. I can't lie, this isn't one of the spots that I like. Like, I do want to almost try and get to Texas for plus 160 odds. Like, that is tempting. I don't think I'm considering the Dodgers for minus 166. Like I told you guys, they should be freaking banned for almost the rest of the year, right? But of course, now they've won 5 of their last 6 games or whatever it is. But nonetheless, I think after a 15-2 win yesterday over Texas, it's probably a spot in which I say I'm probably going to stay away from it. But if I had a gun to my head and I was like, all right, let's go out there and do it, I don't mind Texas on the run line plus 1.5 to keep this game close. Kind of trusting John Gray in this spot, but maybe it's a plus 1 or plus 0.5 in the first 5. Either way, not my favorite spot here. In terms of the total, I'll lean under as well because I think that kind of correlates the idea of Texas, that plus 1.5 kind of coming in clutch. So Walker Buehler's on the mound, by the way, for the Dodgers. Not necessarily a guy that I'm like shaking in my boots against, which is kind of where I originally got to the idea of potentially rolling with the Rangers. So we'll see what I do with that, but I'll lean towards the under as well as Texas. Keep an eye on the pinned comment to see if those do become final plays. And guys, that's a wrap for today's video. I do apologize if I was a little rusty or whatnot. Like, these videos, even when I'm on the road, never mind taking a day off to travel, right? But these videos are a lot more to edit, produce, and find plays and spots for every single game than when we just kind of give you 3 picks and whatnot when we're doing hybrid videos on the road. So if I'm a little rusty, if I seem run down, it's probably because we're recording this early. It's probably going to take me double the time to edit now because I'm kind of out of a funk. But it is what it is, guys. We'll catch you guys in the next one, all right? I appreciate all the support even when we're on the road, but I'll catch you guys in the next one, all right? Peace out.